Live from the City of Angels, you are watching Breaking Box Office here as we have terrible news again this summer. It's been terrible. I mean, guys, look, we are in big trouble from a theatrical standpoint. I am the number one fan of movie theaters. And I know there's a lot of AMC stockholders out there that aren't happy with me reporting the fact that theaters are in dire straits right now. We'll discuss it tonight, but we have to get to Furiosa. It is really bad. This is truly as awful as it could really go for this film. Look at the number directly from the Warner Brothers email here on Sunday morning as Furiosa flames out $25.6 million for the debut. That's the 3-day. They don't even have a 4-day attached to this. Typically, the studios estimate that 4-day and glow about that number. They're even more worried about that number than they are just giving us the 3-day, because it has a feeling the way this thing's going, if you look at the daily from Friday to Saturday to Sunday, the drops, this film is falling apart by the day. $25.6 million as you look at the under the hood details of this. Premium large format, 52% of the business this weekend. IMAX and Dolby. Of course, you would want to see a movie like that. No surprise. Quickly, top 10 locations for Furiosa before we get into why this film bombed. We talked about it on that Friday night emergency stream, and I think it really is. No question, guys, people are hurting financially. Man, there's a lot of folks out there that can barely pay for rent and their gas and their food. They're not going to see films, but that's not the only reason. It's also the fact they replaced Max with Maxine, right? That has a lot of people ticked off. Top 10 locations: AMC Lincoln Square, New York City; AMC Burbank, My Home Theater, number 2; TCL Chinese here in Hollywood, 3; 4; AMC Metreon, San Fran; AMC Universal, 5; 6; The Grove here in LA. LA is crushing this. And that's the thing. When we go in and look at those sales on Thursday, when we did that stream and try to project this film, I'm looking at LA screens. I'm looking at how packed they are because we are the cinephilic capital of the universe. And as such, these numbers here are going to be so much higher than they are. Look, there's not even a small town here. Sometimes we get a Phoenix. That's not a small town, but something other than New York, LA. Number 7, Century City, LA. Number 8, AMC Empire, New York City. Regal Irvine Spectrum, that is LA, that's Orange County, huge down there. And then you have Toronto coming in, Cineplex, Scotiabank at number 10. Top DMA markets, obviously you can tell from what I just said: LA, New York, San Fran, Toronto, Dallas, Seattle, Chicago, DC, Phoenix, and Houston. Typically looks something like that, but occasionally we have a town come in where it over-indexed, a smaller, mid-sized city here stateside. That's not happening. This film did not work in, quote, flyover America. You can see it here from the email, and you can see it in the numbers, guys. This isn't even $26 million. This is some $20 million under what Fury Road debuted with back in 2015. And very important to note this, when you look at 2015, guys, that's 9 years ago. You look at inflation, and that number of 45 for Fury Road is more like 60, right? At least 55. Everything costs so much more. It's one of the number one reasons why this film went down. And theaters, listen, guys, tonight's a huge topic, and it's going to be the hardest stream I've ever done. Theaters could be extinct. Not tomorrow, not next week, not in a month, but here's what's going to happen, and I'll preview it before we get into it tonight, and we'll look at the worldwide numbers here in a moment for Furiosa. We are going to have far fewer movie theaters very soon. That's going to happen quickly. You're going to start seeing more and more theaters go under and disappear, and there's only going to be a few select locations. LA's I'm not going to see it here. That's the thing. It's always hard. I'm a journalist, first and foremost. I know that pisses off the AMC stockholders who are like, you're supposed to cheerlead for everything, Weber. What are you saying? Shit, listen. Don't come into my world and be a shill for anything. I don't care. I love AMC, but if the movies are going down and I'm telling you theaters are going to close, that's what's going to happen. I'm not I'm holding a million shares of AMC stock and I'm going to say what you want me to say. Go watch Roaring Kitty for that shit. Go watch somebody else. My job is to tell you the truth, and the truth is we're in big trouble. Furiosa worldwide, look at the numbers here. 33.3 million overseas. So only, obviously a little over 2x on the multiple here between domestic and international. I'm not saying it's literally a 1-to-1, 1.4, something like that. Get a stock person in here that can give you the exact number without a calculator. Worldwide, 58.9. Here's the top grosses. Obviously, the United States, number one, 25.6. Korea at 4.5. France, 2.6. UK, 2.5. Mexico, 2.4. We go to Australia, 2.2. Top markets, there's the cum. You can see it right there all the way down to our debut of over $56 million, which is not, again, anything exciting. 58.9. They call it 59. That's, man, guys, this hurts. And here's why it hurts. This film's great. I love this film. And that's what makes me and this channel, and give me a like because you know this is true. I'm the only person out there who will come out of a film and say it's the best thing I've ever seen and then turn around when it bombs and say this is awful. Most people, these shills, don't know how to do that. They're going to they can't handle the truth. There are two things we're doing here. One, we're reviewing and evaluating films, and then we're talking about the box office. Those are not connected. We'd love to see, in this case, Furiosa popping and doing really great number and helping out theaters. That's not happening, man. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you it is. So here's international highlights. IMAX did well, no surprise. For Asia, Furiosa was the biggest opening weekend of the Mad Max franchise. So that's encouraging. In Hong Kong, India, and Taiwan, film ranked number one in the region of Latin America, tracked ahead of John Wick Chapter 2. Interesting, Chapter 2. Dune, and Blade Runner 2049. So that's good for Latin America. In Europe, box office impacted by the region by hot, sunny weather, keeping audiences at the beaches rather than in theaters. In like-for-like markets and adjusted for exchange rates, Furiosa is 4% higher than Edge of Tomorrow. I got to say, it's funny when they dig up random films and say, this is what, it's like, come on, guys, let's go. But they have to. Warner Brothers doesn't have much to talk about here this morning that's positive. And again, it really goes back to the fact we're in a terrible spot and we've got to get this right. I don't think we can outside of something extremely compelling coming into the marketplace. We got nothing next weekend. And then hopefully soon we're going to get Despicable Me 4. Not that I want to see it, but theaters want to see it because it does well every time. The Minions, $4 billion plus worldwide for that franchise as a whole. And then you look at Deadpool Wolverine. The problem with Deadpool Wolverine, it was supposed to be this weekend. And as you know, because of the strikes, they pushed it to the end of July. So we have 2 more months to get through. And then we'll finally get to the biggest movie of the summer as we close it out. A little like we saw with Barbenheimer, which came out in mid to late July and then ran all the way through August. But that's, it's only going to be one film this year. It's going to be Deadpool Wolverine. Everything else will have to pick up the pace to have any shot of making this summer a success, because right now we're seeing so many films come under really where they should be. Even Garfield, look, it's claiming victory for the 4-day weekend at about $31+ million. It didn't win the 3-day. They're going to let Warner Brothers take Furiosa for the 3, and they're going to claim victory for the 4, which tells you what I just talked about at the top of the stream, that Furiosa is falling apart day by day. Therefore, they are just go ahead and surrender tomorrow to Garfield. More families are going to come out to see that film on Memorial Day, kids out of school, all that stuff. They're going to pop this film. Look, here's this number you can look, and we go right to the email here. And we have a 4-day of 31.8, call it $32 million for the 4-day. Here's the thing, though. As people are saying, well, look, Garfield's doing well. This is the same number for the 3-day here of 24.7. Roughly, that's the same number as the Emoji Movie. So why are we excited about that? You see, this is why we don't spin things here. I don't have time for that. I don't want to do that. I want to tell you the news of the situation. When we're evaluating a film, of course, I'm going to be more subjective and go off on stuff. I mean, Poor Things, awful. God, I can't stand the film. But yet, look, it made over 100 million worldwide. Those are two different things. Top 10 box office, then we'll come back tonight and talk about the dire strait of theatrical. Good Lord, please go out and support movies. Go see Furiosa. I don't care if this bombed at 25.5 million this weekend. I do not care. But you need to know that we're in trouble, okay? Furiosa Mad Max Saga is number one, only $6,700 per location. We talk about those per location averages. That's terrible, man. The number one film on a successful weekend, like a big-time film, is going to be closer to $20,000. This is $6,700 to show you how bad this bombed at nearly not even $26 million. Garfield in number two at $24.7 million, only $6,000 per on that. So again, not huge. If down 52% in number three. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes is now nearing 300 million worldwide as it is in the three hole. Let's go back and look at the Fall Guy. As it is, Kingdoms in Four, Fall Guy is at $72 million stateside. I believe it's at 140 worldwide as it's in fifth. Strangers went down 53%, but still it's going to make money for Lionsgate. The movie's atrocious, but yet here it is at $21 million. It's going to make them a profit. That's why we get these crap films. I love horror films, but not like that. Not Strangers Chapter 1. Sight, which was the Angel Studios movie. Good to see Greg Kinnear back in a movie, by the way. I like Greg Kinnear. He used to host that show. Was it later? Bob Costas had it, then he did it. I like Greg. He's didn't have a big hit, though. $2.7 million on number 7. And then Challengers at $46 million, minus 52% again this weekend. Babes is bombing. Is that surprising? Babes, I'm not going to watch it. I won't watch a movie like Babes. I saw the trailer. I don't know. It's not for me. That's not a movie I'm going to sit through. I had to sit through a very mediocre at best Garfield movie last night. We'll talk about it here coming up. Not a great film, not a funny film either, but Babes, that trailer, no, that's a hell no to that film. At number 9 with $1.2 million for the Cume, and then Back to Black goes down 63%. That thing tanked. It's not even at $5 million here. A few comments before we get out of here on a Sunday morning. Your thoughts on what happened here. Brandon, streaming didn't kill Furiosa. Furiosa killed Furiosa. The movie was always a likely flop. And since they had first announced it, well, I mean, you're talking about getting rid of Max and putting in Maxine, right? And ultimately, that does piss off a lot of people. It's not just that, though, guys. It really is the financial state of so many people out there. They don't have cash to burn. And one of the first things you're going to get rid of is a luxury like going to the movies. You got to have A-list, right? I have A-list. If you're one person, it's $25 a month. You get 24 movies. Wait, hold on. Make that 12. 12 movies for 25. Either way, it's a deal, right? You're talking about $2 a movie, and you can see 3D, you can see IMAX, Dolby, whatever you want, Prime. It's worth every penny. Regal Unlimited, same thing. You can even go more to Regal. You go every day of the month if you want to go there. But you have to have that. But even for a family of 4, when you look at $25 per, that's $100 a month to go to the movies. And a lot of these kids these days don't even want to see the movies. I mean, that's the other problem. The kids' heads are in TikTok and Instagram. YouTube's the number one platform for media in the world. What you're watching right now, not theatrical. Obviously, it never was number one, but it certainly had more cultural significance than it does now. And that's what Seinfeld was talking about a few weeks ago. We discussed it on the big Sunday night show, that movies just aren't as big as they used to be. That's true. There's no debate on that, and that's our big topic again tonight. And I think people will wait for digital. That's the other issue when we talk about what's happened is when you put these films like Fall Guy on digital 3 weeks after they debut, you're telling people that they can just hang out and you'll get it there. 3 weeks is nothing. So look, also, we'll talk about this tonight. look at what Warner Brothers did during COVID with that HBO Max. Warner Brothers, day and date, they put it up on streaming the same day it was in theaters. It wrecked virtually every single film they had. So Warner Brothers plays a part in what's happened here to Furiosa if you go with the angle that people are not going to theaters because they just want to wait it out, and it'll be at home, and you can wait and just watch it at home for a lot cheaper than it is at the movies. That said, guys, as we get ready to wrap here tonight, I'd love to do more comments. I want to keep the stream tight. Tonight, at 8 o'clock-ish, maybe 8:30 tonight, get the alerts for MMT. We'll go into this deep, and we will get as many comments as possible in as theaters are in big fucking trouble. Man, there's no other way to put it. This is as bad as it gets, and unfortunately, it's going to take a Despicable Me 4, a Deadpool to turn things around, but we have to start protecting these films. The studios cannot put them on digital in 3 weeks, and also we must address the fact that Hollywood is essentially a no-go zone for a lot of people. There's people in this country and across the world that are not happy with what's coming out of Hollywood, and that's another part of Furiosa. A lot of things to dissect tonight, why this film did as poorly as it did. I think we did a nice job here this morning. More coming up tonight on MMT on the Sunday Evening Spectacular. As always, it's been a pleasure. I'll see you tonight about 8 o'clock out here in L.A. Let's go. Go to the movies. Go see Furiosa. It deserves your attention. See you tonight.